Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Roll Down podcast, a TFT podcast based primarily on growing the Oceanic and Southeast Asian region. I am proud, as always, to be joined by my co host, Sol. Sol, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here after a week.
Yeah, absolutely. A week off. We're back. I am very proud to introduce our guest on this episode. Our world's preview involved talking to two North American players, and we are very grateful now to be able to talk to the Oceanic, one of two Oceanic representatives in the 2021 6.5 World Championships. TXE, Ron, welcome to the show.
Hey guys.
We want to get right into it. We want to make this like a pretty special, chilled out, quick fire, fast episode. Ron,
Yeah.
eighth place. How did it feel?
Um Probably the best eighth place I've taken. Week. There were a few bitter moments, but I can't really complain making it to day 3.
I want to ask, because of course you wrote a absolutely huge, monstrous twit longer about your experience at regionals, about the event itself. Was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the process that went into writing it, why you decided to write it. Was it to prevent being asked 1,000 questions like we're about to?
Um Not really. Initially when I wrote it or like planned to write it, um it was after regionals, not after worlds. There were a lot of people that helped me out before regionals with just dealing with the things that were like stressing me out. And I guess I also thought like there were a few messages in the story that would have came up for me, which I think were like just good life lessons. I don't know if like they really are, but it's just they were eye opening for me, and it's just mostly an extended thank you letter to the few people involved.
Yeah, I'd love to touch on that a little bit more. You say that there is a potentially, there's a message in here. You talk a lot about mental health, mental strength, about the feeling of wanting to bounce back and do good while also struggling with personal life and busyness and everything that entails. I guess I just wanted to know from your perspective, was it a cathartic experience to write everything down about how you felt at the end of all of this?
Um, okay, so honestly, I had written up about 8,000 words by, I believe it was early morning Wednesday, Tuesday at that point. It was the third. Third would have been a Tuesday. So after Worlds, I had rest. I went to sleep again the next day. And then I just didn't really sleep on that Monday night, I think. So I stayed up until like 8 a.m. Tuesday, just writing everything that it wasn't all the emotional stuff. It was more the games all was fresh in my head. And um, for me, it was just like a refresh on what I should be thankful for. Because personally, I don't think that the world's run or like even the regionals run happens ever without the help from just like having people around, because it's something I don't really talk about often to people not like the my inner friend group is I don't really have like local friends to visit or just like catch up with. So a lot of my friends or like interactions are online strictly. So yeah.
Is that generally would you say a result of the pandemic overall, you think?
It definitely plays a part to it. There's like some history that I'm just gonna avoid explaining because it's a long story, but all you need to know is I moved to Queensland on my 12th birthday, and it was a very bitter experience. And a lot of bad memories just reside in Queensland.
As someone that lives in Queensland, understood completely. So I don't want to hog all the questions here. I'd love you to jump in and ask a couple as well.
That's all good. I mean, I guess while we're on that topic, I mean, you talked a lot about it on your longer, right? But
Yeah.
you know, maybe not everyone's had the chance to read that. Who are like, the people, I guess that that you'd feel like you'd want to shout out the most? I guess the people, the friends that you felt, helped you the most, sort of on your way on this journey to sort of where you've got now, right? Yeah.
Um, so the major ones are the person that I didn't mention in the twit longer, um, Sean, otherwise known as Fortune Chosen or Zero, and definitely Andrew, otherwise known as Neopolitician.
Mm.
Um, it's definitely mentioned there already. I hopped into call. I don't really like. As of recent, I haven't really talked to Andrew much, like before regionals, after regionals, and whatever. But um, just been close friends for it was roughly the tail end of 2019 till now. But I've known him since 2014, and it's just the notion of having a friend that's just like that understands that you're just feeling cornered. Like I didn't really say much when I joined call on the day before regionals. I mean, the hours before regionals began, and I don't know. I don't think the whole like Uber Eats part was the game changer, but it's just the act of friendship where he's like, I can't be there, but I can help still, which really just woke me up really from all the other shit that was like weighing down on me at that time.
Mm.
Great answer. Really great answer. I wanted to piggyback off that a little bit and talk about your actual preparation for the games. You basically said during your twit longer in no uncertain terms that goal was make day 3. That's it. Doesn't matter how we get there. Doesn't matter how scrappy it is. We just have to try our absolute best. Make top 8. Do you feel like was that just always going to be your strategy going in, or did that sort of materialize when you were practicing for the event?
Are we talking about regionals or worlds?
Oh, world, sorry.
Worlds. Oh, I was playing like really shit in every one of the scrims. It was also like a lot of the games I went into scrims, I'm playing comps that I'm like, I need, not need to learn, but I should try out and learn and test in Worlds lobbies rather than, oh, I should just play BF Sword, play Sivir. Because
Mm.
there's always going to be that one comp in the patch in a quote unquote balanced meta, which I don't know if you can call it a balanced meta, but it's there's always going to be that one comp, which is very easy to pick up, easy to play, and for some reason it happened to be comp that I'd say is fairly similar to playing Kale from set 4.5,
Mm.
which was definitely my favorite and most played comp overall, shortly followed by Felius, but that unit got gutted, so we all know how that went.
True. Yeah, very true. Um, you talked about a lot of priorities when it came to worlds. I guess coming out of regionals, did you expect? I don't want to say did you expect to make worlds, but what was that feeling like when you were getting closer and closer to worlds as the games were going on in OC regionals?
Finals day or
Yeah, finals
the
day.
whole journey?
The journey itself as well. I mean, you actually performed incredibly well for the first couple of days, and right up
Okay,
until the final game, you made it through.
yeah, okay, so day one. double check this because I'm pretty sure that day one I took an 8th on the last game, and it gave me flashbacks straight to set 5, where do you remember how the qualifying format was?
I don't fully remember it actually.
All right, I'll touch you up. So it was
Story time.
64 slots only. I mean, 64 slots for MSI. That was the only way to qualify for set 5.5's regional finals.
Oh,
And
yep.
it was minus 16 players every day. 16, 48, 32,
Oh, okay,
16.
right. Mhm.
And I just remember the final lobby, like the game 6 of day 3. I played like Redeemed or some shit, and I went 8th. And that 8th put me 1 point below Escher, who I would have beat by tiebreaker. And he went 16th out of 16th to make it to
Oh, yep.
regionals.
Mhm.
And I had flashbacks to that because day one, I went 8th. I had 25 points, and I'm just looking at my name slowly going down. I think I was winning a tiebreaker or something. Oh, strength of schedule. That was the only tiebreaker I was winning. And yeah, I literally made it by 1 point, which was taking an 8th, I guess. But that was pretty bad because the start of the day I did really well playing like Civ only for some reason.
Mhm.
And I was in Yusha's lobby for the first 2 games, and we all know how that went. He played some insane striker games. Granted, like you can't deny there were high rolls, but he played them all.
Hmm.
I guess like while we're on that topic of like, really sort of close nail biting, points, like making it through the cutoff and everything, right? I guess like I just have like a generic question that's probably been asked to death already for like a lot of people. But I guess for you specifically, how do you sort of stay focused and not sort of let the pressure, of these games sort of overwhelm you and sort of take over, right? Because you mentioned that like, you started having these sort of flashbacks of, last set, when you didn't quite make it, right? So how do you sort of not let it overwhelm you? How do you like try your best to not let it affect your play too much?
Okay, so for regionals, I don't think I was like fully focused, and just like I didn't have my head in the game like fully. And I think it kind of showed because I didn't have my camera on for worlds, right? But for regionals, I was just talking to chat between like during the games and shit. I was just like having fun and didn't think too much about it. I still was focusing when I needed to focus and positioning when I needed to position, but for focusing, it's just like when you get there to the game at the time, you can't change anything that happens in that like 30 to 40 minute 30 to 40 minute time bracket that you've got. You've got to bring your A game there, and like if you choke and you play something bad, either you tilt, you like, oh, I low rolled or I did this wrong, and it just brings you into the next game. Or for what I did when I played a bad game is I look at like my board as I died, and usually I remember a lot of the things I rolled past during that game. So like um I don't know how many people actually like can remember the units they roll past when they're rolling down. But I'll have like a count like, oh, I rolled
Mm.
past 3 Dravens, 2 whatever. And I just do a little tally is like, was there anything I could have done better? What could have my board potentially have been if I was given a little bit more time to play it? And if I'm still in a spot where it's like, oh, there's nothing I could have done, it's just like go next. But if there's a spot where there is something I could have done, I use it as just like a mental note to go into the next game. If I'm in that same spot for whatever reason, or in the future games,
Mhm.
I'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really interesting way to think about it. I want to ask you about the pre-worlds tourney. You said you were playing a lot of comps that you were really bad at or really wanted to learn in worlds caliber lobbies. Um, I don't want to really sugarcoat it, but I'll just say you played a lot of AP on those days, which I assume was something you weren't really comfortable with.
Oh yeah, definitely. It shows on the finals day,
Hmm.
and that mock tournament. Where's Mock's post? I think I had like 14 points out of 8 games. Where like how many points is that? 2.3 points per game average. Like that's how shit I played. And honestly, I just took it as like if I'm going into Worlds with this while playing like okay, I didn't even like I'm pretty sure I did try and play a striker game in there twice. But it's like if I'm going into Worlds playing like this, what have I got to like lose if I fuck up because I've already fucked up the first tournament, right?
Mm.
And at that point it's like learn what I can about new comps. Granted, I don't play a lot of games daily. And what is the best and easiest like playstyle to mimic? And I'm pretty sure I had Milk in like like a lot of my scrim games. And every game has just got like 2 Zeeks, 3 Zeeks, or Zeeks, BF Sword, Irelia. And I'm just like, you know what? Fuck, I'm just starting BF Sword and sending it. 'Cause it's literally just moving a Sivir and Irelia. And maybe an Echo if you rolled Frozen Heart. But I didn't prior Frozen Heart that much. Playing
Mhm.
Striker Scrap.
I guess like while we're on the topic, right, of like sort of play style and everything, I guess like I'm interested to sort of hear your thoughts on, uh sort of one tricking a comp, so to speak, compared to like, playing flex. I guess like specifically in this context, approaching like sort of your preparation, right? Did you go into it with the sort of mindset of like, you know, I'm gonna try and find a comp that I can just, sort of force and perfect? Or did you initially approach it like I'm gonna try and sort of, try to flex around a bunch of different things?
I actually can't remember like what my mindset was going into day one of Worlds, but I played a striker game out of a 2-1 Merc natural game. I rolled no, I got 4 score at 3-3. It gave me like a Draven. I rolled at 7. I got a Sivir. I had 4 striker. Cashed out on the Sivir. I was like, fuck it, I'll just play Sivir. And I think I won that first game, which was like, oh sure, striker looks piss. Just get Whisper, double Zeeks, maybe a Quicksilver, maybe a Runans, and you're usually set from there as long as you hit what Echo Blitz, Irelia, Sivir, Jinx, and a Braum, and then 2 other strikers, and you're set from that spot usually. Um, and I went into the next game. I played strikers again because I think only one game I didn't get BS Sword opener, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a lot of BF openers.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely I remember a lot of BF openers. Yeah. For
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like in the game 2 you played Darkstar. Is that right? Do I remember that correctly?
No, day one I played strikers.
I think day one was Sivir every game. I think day
Sivir,
three
Sivir,
there was a
Sivir,
Darkstar
Sivir.
game. I think, but
Was
yeah.
that day 3?
Game 4 was a strike. Game 4 was a Darkstar game, and I definitely misplayed that. I think I could have went 9 that game. Like looking at my SWAT, I was 4-2-40 gold, like 18 in that game. So that was like misplay, just like a lack of how comfortable I am with that comp, and not really comfortable. It's just like I had Yordle Econ, I had Dark Stars, like good items. There's no reason for me to roll 8. Like, just sack 40 health and go 9.
Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit like more generally. Obviously, this is the set, the patch, the series set 6.5 where you made it all the way to top 8 of the world championships. Do you like set 6 and set 6.5?
Honestly, no. I'm not going to sugarcoat it here. Like this set, the whole of set 6 just pissed me off for no reason. Like if I slam the Hodge, I'm probably going bot 4 playing a Kaiser or Jinx, right? And then 6.5 comes around, you can slam Hodge all of a sudden, But like all the carries that could use Hodge got nerfed or unplayable, which is like Draven, the Hodge carriers. It was mostly challenges that could use Hodge. And then even then, it's just like you end up playing for like Kai'Sa or Jinx as you pivot out to like actually win. I didn't like the set 6 AD carries as well, honestly, because Yone and Urgot just shared Biss outside of like their defensive item.
Yep.
And you just roll down at 8. Whichever you hit 2-star first, you just like start pivoting like your front line to accommodate for those units. And those like very few times you had like some strange variant where it's like Tamura had a variant in I believe the Challenger series. He played 6 Challenger, 6 Bruiser for Yone. It's like
Yeah.
those like small inconsistencies with it. But for the most part, it's just like you get your cookie cutter builds. It's like 6 Challenger Yone, you have a Yumi, you have a Braum, and sometimes you high roll, you get 8 Challenger or whatever. That was Desperation Mode. And it's just yeah, there is like really good flex players out there as shown at Worlds. I definitely wasn't one of them. I just didn't have like the mindset. Like I went into day 3 Sivir Brain. Like I took Built Diff and then Pandora's and Civ off Carousel. Like my game plan was reset. Just throw Built Diff out the window.
Mm.
I think. Is there anything else I missed out on? We're talking about just like how I felt about the set, right?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
I'd ask you
I
about
guess,
the
like-
augments as well. Sorry, I saw.
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
it
yeah.
Because
sounds
the
like,
units in this set,
outside of the units, it's just like
shit.
Yeah. a
like-
lot of like your grievances like a champion base, which I tend to agree with, right?
Yeah. Okay, augments. There's times where it's just like you just get really tilted seeing like what other people get for augments and what you're offered. And some games you just lose like 1, 2, maybe 3 placements because someone else got like an augment while they're lower health than you that like saves their ass. You get an augment that like is a detriment to you or just like nowhere near as like strong for the board that you're currently playing or that you're locked into because you got say a heart or an emblem early in the game or your item slams. A good example of this is right if in a meta where it's like Siva's good, Renata's good, or like healing comps are good, and Siva's also fine. If you get weak spot, you suddenly gain like 2 or 3 placements. As long as you've got enough health, you hit your board. If you don't hit that weak spot, and say for example you just have back foot instead, you suddenly just lose placements for no reason because you don't have this heal cut because you're not prioritizing your belts to be heal cut based, and it's just like it's just a really shitty feeling sometimes, and it really showed because like no flame to DQA. Like I understand why he was really pissed off at me hitting like striker hard every game, weak spot every game, striker crown in one of the games. He was stuck with me for an entire day, just forcing Siva. And in the final game where he's like, I need a first to make it to day 2, I hit striker heart once again at 2-1 at 1-4, and he had striker heart. And I just hard contested him. I went 7th, of course. And he just went 6th because like I'm holding hands with him for items, and I'm always playing lower health than him because that's just how my playstyle is. So yeah, that's just my take on it.
Fair enough.
We
I
spoke
guess
to a
it's
lot
like
of. Oh, sorry, Saul. You go.
Sorry, you go. No. It's you go.
My question was going to be: we talked to Goose in an episode previewing Worlds. We talked to Appies in an episode previewing Worlds, and these are quite established NA players, and they talked a lot about sort of how to prepare for these kind of events. They also talked a lot about knowing what other regions are good at, what other players are good at. How did it feel like getting into a game with sort of all these world caliber players? Did you sort of have kind of an inkling what people were going to play, any like what people were strong at? Obviously, like the NA players are probably the easiest ones. You know, you already identified that Milk's playstyle was something that you felt comfortable emulating. So did you sort of know what everybody was going to play, or have some idea in that regard?
Oh,
Understood. Understood.
no, I was fucking clueless.
For those,
I
yeah,
went
for
into
those
those
who...
games. I was just like, I'm gonna do a little bit of homework on like what's happening in these games. Are they high rolling? Are they always playing for level 8 roll downs? Are there any re-rollers? And I was confident that Ash was like a good comp in that patch. No one played Ash outside of GV8 in the final. And were there re-rollers? I don't think there were. There was the Megamin guy that played Twitch twice. I thought it was a little bit troll that he went back to back Twitch. That was okay. No one played Ash. I played one game of Ash in the mock tournament. I definitely griefed that game by taking high five, pivoting out of the standard Ash board, and then playing like Galio, Braum, 4 snipers, and a clockwork. But that was just more like I knew I was top 4 in that spot. And I was like, okay, this comp is good if you're in a spot to play it. Because I hit Ash 3 at 3-5 that game.
Mm.
And at that point I realized it's just like you're very unlikely to be in a spot where it's just like you can sack rounds, get your BIS, and play reroll. That's more what I was looking at when I was playing with these players. Just analyzing like what can you get away with, and if reroll, if you can't get away with reroll, just don't play it. You'll take 8s, which are like impossible to recover from because all you can say is like I low rolled. I didn't hit my 3-star before stage 4. That's how strong the boards are being played in Worlds sometimes.
Mm.
Think like one thing that like one takeaway that I sort of get from like chatting to you after I read your tweet longer as well, right, is that like you very much like sort of went into Worlds with a very clear like idea of like what a stable board looks like on stage 3, what a stable board looks like on like what a good stage 4 board looks like, what a good stage 5 board looks like, right? And I feel like I saw that a lot in your games where you were able to sort of hold the line in certain spots where I think other players would have potentially rolled, which essentially, it let you essentially cap out your board like higher than other weaker players potentially would have in those spots. So
Mhm.
yeah, which I was very impressed with. So yeah.
Okay. Do I add anything to that?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do I add anything to that?
If you want to.
Oh no! That was just like I just wanted to sort of add that. Yeah.
Thanks.
I think that like it might be maybe it's time to talk a little bit about set 7 potentially.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
so. We don't have too much info. I'll say this, by the way, guys. Like, at the time of recording this podcast, if you are listening to this later, the only thing that we've got regarding much of set 7 is that we got a little preparedness video for it, a dev drop. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. I want to put a sort of final closing on Ron's world performance and just say, ask you basically if you're planning on coming back and competing for, running it back for the next World Championships for TFT.
We'll have to see because in the nature of this game, you will high roll on the day and you will low roll on the day. If I low roll on the day, that it is what it is. But if I'm enjoying ladder enough, I will just hold top 15 once again, get my points, get qualified, and see me at regional.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Great. All right, let's talk a little bit set 7. So aside from the fact that we know what the overall theme is, which is dragons, and we're getting a bunch of special 2 unit taking up specialist dragons, we'll talk about that like at the end. What I want to talk about first of all for you, Ron, is that augments are coming back in set 7. How do you feel about
Lovely.
that?
Lovely.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any like. Well, I've seen like the augments they've allowed us to see. Them just don't make sense because it's like sacrifice the Jade Totem. What does that mean? Um, yeah, they've added some very interesting ones. And if you take Sacrificial Pact, you are never making it to level 9. Keep that as a note. You are
Yep.
never making it to level 9. Unless you can get it at 3-3 for whatever reason. That'd be pretty insane if you're 100 streak.
Mm.
What are my thoughts on all back? Okay, if there's less generic type augments, say like Knife's Edge, Battle Mage, or like they make it just like actually no, trait related augments are the ones I'm going to be more concerned about, because right now it's just like there are some comps that get unlocked by hitting specific augments, and there's some comps that just don't give a shit because they're just that good that you can take all the generic augments, and it creates a thing where you're just like punished sometimes for playing certain comps, and then like there are people that can play flex really well, make the best out of most of their augments. Sometimes they just have to stack the augments, lose a few placements, and they'll take it on the chin. But for the most part, I hope there's like no augments that are just like 1-4 your game is decided because you've hit
Yep.
Mm.
an insane vertical augment, right?
For sure.
I feel like one of the things that they stamped out pretty quickly in set 6.5 compared to set 6 is that they just fucking got rid of so many of the like the vertical augments. Although like, and yeah, for the first 2 or 3 days Hextech was super broken, but they kind of like after that they basically just nerfed Hextech into the ground and left the rest of the stuff the way it was realistically. Yeah, there's a lot in chat talking about how it'll all be fine. Riot said
I
it'll all
think
be
that like
fine.
yeah, I think that for me it's like I think I'd be really naive if I hope that they're balanced or believe that they will be more balanced. I don't think that's gonna be the case. I think that TFT is inherently a very imbalanced game. Like it's just there's just so many moving pieces. What I do hope will be done better, and I have faith will be done better. We'll see how wrong I am in a couple months. Is actually the augment. It's actually the algorithm that determines what augments you're allowed to even be offered. Because, I mean, even with this set, there's a lot of like sort of head scratcher ones where it's like, I don't really understand how it took them this long to like change it. Like, probably the biggest example that I can think of is that Metabolic Accelerator was only just changed, literally like last patch, to only show up at 1-4. Like that augment basically into the entire set could show up at 3-3, and it's like I don't know who's taking this on 3-3. You know, I don't know who's taking this on 3-3 to heal like 16 HP. So there's a lot of augments like that that are just like in this set, like all of like set 6 and 6.5 that are just like real head scratchers as to like how you're even allowed to be offered them, right? Like for example, you could be playing a full AD comp and then all of a sudden like you're offered like Archangel's Embrace plus like Battle Mage plus like some other like trash. And I mean, yeah, I could go on forever. But yeah, that's probably my biggest hope that they really like smooth out the whole augment algorithm. I don't expect them to give you the perfect augment every time, but some that just should not be offered.
Yeah, definitely. As Mari said, Knife's Edge with snipers active. That was something that they removed at some point. I just hope like no flame to the dev team. Like there's stuff that they do which is great, stuff that they do which there's it raises a few heads sometimes. Um, who just like looks at these augments as like, yes, there are certain traits active, or like certain things on your board. Let's offer or allow this to be in the game,
Yeah,
especially for things like gold augments. Gold augments, I think, are the most swingy augments in the game. Yeah, you can argue prismatics, but to that extent, prismatics don't like up until they had to nerf all of the twin shot augments, like mostly just sharpshoot in this case. There were no prismatic augments in the game which directly altered how a trait works,
Mm.
like
that's a great point.
sharpshooter, hex nova, etc.
Yeah.
And the gold augments are really swinging in that case because you would turn Sivir, which was like an okay comp, like not in Worlds patch, but like just as an okay comp, to pretty much the best comp in the game, just off of hitting what's the augment called? Concussive blows.
Yeah. Concussive
You
Mhm.
just
blows.
stun the whole enemy team for like a gold augment. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And on that same vein, you could get like Knife's Edge, which grief your positioning, you do a bit more damage.
Mm.
Not a good trade-off.
For sure.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think it would be really nice if they actually focused on, and they said this about Spats as well in their retrospective, that Spats basically for this whole set did nothing. They didn't change the way the game played. They didn't change the way a character did things. And I think that's one of the most fun reasons to have spatulas in the game, is to be able to fundamentally change the way units behave. Totally unavailable to anything in set 6. Very useless. It's like, oh, you put a chem tank spat on a tank and it gets a bit of health regen. Or you put a sniper emblem on Orianna and your Orianna doesn't move and does a little bit more damage. That's nice, but there's no change to the way that Orianna plays, or Brom would have played with a Chemtech spat. So I really hope that they invest a lot of their augment energy into actually changing the way the board works in a lot of ways, because otherwise it's just like the same shit. It's really boring.
Mm.
It would be really boring to do another 6 months of augments that don't do anything except make your board do a bit more damage.
Yeah, I believe it was in the dev drop or something. They mentioned they wanted to do something more on transformative emblems and
Mm.
spatulas.
Yep.
Which was clearly not present in set 5, where Strike is just like a death blade. Chemtech's just DR for a
Just
little bit.
Regen. Yeah.
Um,
Arcanist is just a death cap. Like, yeah.
yeah. So
Mm.
and then you ended up with Challenger, which is like kind of interesting.
Mm.
But Challenger's like a trait wasn't like really good ever outside of
Yeah.
like playing Warwick. And that didn't really provide you much outside of attack speed. So that wasn't really transformative. Leaving only Assassin. But like you could only really justify playing like Assassin Irelia.
Well,
Because
yeah. Well,
she
the problem
synergized
with
with traits so much.
the problem with Sin, like just in most of 6 point, in most of Sex is there just haven't been very good many like Sin spat holders, right? I mean, for better or worse. I mean, flashback to Sin Fiddle. That was pretty unbalanced, but
Sin
Yeah.
Fiddle,
you
Sin
know, for better or
Ivan,
worse.
Sin Volley.
Yeah.
Ron, I want to ask you, you mentioned loving to play Kayle. You mentioned loving to play Aphelios. You've top 8'd this World Championships playing predominantly Sivir. I'll say, it's pretty reasonable that you like a backline carry. What is something that you're like hoping for out of the new set, if you could like pick like a cool backline carry, like a cool unit or something like that you would be looking forward to?
Harry specifically.
Yeah, or,
Oh,
generally or
so-
specifically.
So it's like all those three carries share in common. They attack a lot, very quickly.
Mm.
You build Zeeks, you build bows on them, and they generally just do very well. Which just leaves Jin like as a do not like unit because his theme was always attack at a fixed rate. I haven't seen what the whole roster for set 7 is. The only AD carry that I saw in that roster was Varus, and he just uses his ult. So I'm not too sure what I'm looking for. But please no Urgot. Just I don't want a 3-range bruiser like range carry. It doesn't make sense.
Interesting. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, just anything that attacks fast is
Uh, I'll assert that like Urgot would have been like 10 million times more interesting and fun if his ability was more like his league ability, which is like he fires like slower like slug like shotgun rounds instead of like the endless like Gatling gun, if that makes sense. So like he could have been, yeah, I feel like that would have been a lot more interesting for his identity. But at least in 6.0, it felt like it really felt like almost like a budget like 5.5 Lucian that just like only yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah. For Urgot, it's just since they're using League as a mold for their game, right?
Mm.
But they still change elements of the unit. They can like add interesting things to it. Like, say for Urgot, his kit works as a bruiser that executes in League. And what they could have done is added the execute part to his kit, but not use it as his ulti. It's more like upon executing an enemy, a passive proc happens. The shotgun knees, something like that. Where it's just like they transform a bit of their kit to just like add some flair to the unit rather than just machine gun.
Yep.
I think we're also
But
getting to the point now, like, it's been a while since I've like properly been invested in League of Legends, but we're into the 7th set of TFT with like units that have come back 3, 4, 5 times. I'm not going to say that they're running out of ideas, but there's only so much left that they can directly steal from League to make it new and exciting. There is not a lot of time left to use every single ability in this game. Vayne will probably always be sort of
I mean, that's the
veiny,
thing though. But that's the thing. Okay, but like my counterpoint to that though is that like they haven't used the different abilities for a lot of champions that they've reprinted. Like a lot of champions that are reprints literally have been reprinted with the exact same ability though. So I mean some have been different, but yeah, some have like yeah, I don't know. I can't think of exact examples, but like in theory, the combinations are quite like a lot, right? Like it's finite, but there's a lot of combinations, right? Like 4 abilities plus a passive, and yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I guess my point is like I don't know if necessarily like there's like a lack of material in the bank. More so like I feel like they just keep seeming to, they just keep bringing back the same abilities over and over again for some reason.
True,
But yeah,
that's true.
yeah,
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say it's a lack of creativity
yeah.
Mm.
on their part.
Like
There are a
I don't
lot
want
of
to.
things that they could be doing. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with Lee Sin in this set. Apparently, he's an assassin,
It's
Yeah,
the
and
sin, yeah.
he has his E.
and he was also
His
apparently a
E.
5 cost.
Yeah.
But then there was a gold augment that gave you Lee Sin, so I don't know what happened to that. Maybe he's a 3 cost now. Um, one thing they could have done with him is, as an assassin, a 5 cost assassin, it becomes a soft reprint of Akali and Yone, both the 5 cost variants. Where he casts his E, all marked targets now are gonna get hit by a Q every
Yep.
time he gets 20 mana,
Mm.
something like that. Um, just anything interesting like that. It's
For
Yeah.
sure.
They can do a lot of things to transform a unit to have multiple abilities to just make them more fun to not play, but just watch, because that's essentially
Mm.
what TFT is. We're just watching an auto battler.
Yeah, once the round ticks down, we got nothing left to do. We're just watching to see if it all works out. Really, the final point that I wanted to bring up when it came to these leaks that we got is that 4-6 or Raptors is changing. We are getting a very different way to receive our final items, and we don't have the exact information on what it entails, but they talked about it being a chest where you're able to pick out of a few different options, or I believe they said spend a bit of money to refresh it once and then just have to take what you got from that point. Is
Yeah,
that right? Am I remembering that correctly? I'll start
yeah.
with
They
you.
said
Yeah.
they will offer you your loss, like it's just the Raptors equivalent, and you pay 1 gold if you don't like what's in there. You just
Hmm.
pop it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on changing the way that we receive items in TFT run?
Um, okay, so variance is always going to be part of the game. They're never dropping out of variance. It's stupid that like you can get 10 gold 2 components Krogs, and then the next game you can get 6 gold 1 component or 9 gold no component Krogs. the next,
Mm.
and it's just like, where the fuck did they decide this was a good thing that like
Yep.
in the same lobby this can happen? Um, I don't think they're changing the variance in that, but I do believe they want to make Raptors feel a bit better as they're turning back from um set 5, because you remember the shock that everyone had when all of a sudden you get to Raptors, you don't drop anything,
Yeah, you got
or
like
you get
one
like
item.
Yeah.
6 gold, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, my game's fucked because I've just got like an open component for no reason. And I think that's like a good way to introduce back like what they've taken away from the players in set 5, which yeah, that was pretty shitty. But I guess it was nice to get more of your items by 4-1. It just made the 4-6 carousel, I mean 4-4 carousel seem very redundant.
Mm.
At that point, you have like one component open, you take a component of 4-4, and you're left with that item usually. Don't even think about Raptors in set
Yep.
5. Yeah, it's a good push in the right direction, I think. Or they could have just added 2 more components to set 5.
For sure.
Yeah. I feel like that pretty much covers most of the set 7 stuff that they revealed so far. I mean, they're committing to changing a lot of stuff about double up, which I think is probably for the best as well. I mean, I think if you want people to play double up, the least that they could do is make it have the actual ranking system, which is what they're doing. So, I mean, there you go. So, was there anything else out of the dev talk that was interesting to you?
No, I think it's like pretty good. I think like we mostly covered everything. I think that like the one thing we didn't really talk about is the super mega dragon units that cost like 10 million gold. But I think that one we can maybe save for a future discussion. And I think that one like it's like if we were to talk about it, we talked for quite a bit, and it'd be a lot of speculation. So there's gonna be like there's like a lot of context on that one, if that makes sense. So like a lot of context on like how powerful it's really gonna be, how we can evaluate it and stuff like that, right? So yeah, I think that's good for set 7.
Yeah, sweet. Well, this is the point of our show where we move on to questions. So if you guys have any questions in the chat, feel free to ask them. But of course, we always give priority to the people who ask questions in our Discord. So I will hand it over to Sol now to chat away. We got a couple of really good questions for Ron, I think, here.
Cool. All right. So first question is from Tycoon. Do you believe the regional series prepared you appropriately for the championship tournament? If not, what would you like to see changed?
Okay, so this is from Tycoon. I just want to read the context on it, so it's easy for me to respond
yeah,
to
sure.
it.
And there's an extra bit at the end of as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So honestly, the production from the OC team was really good. I was like, nice. Our tournament's kind of like going smoothly. And there weren't any major complaints from it. Yeah, sometimes I've got screenshot, but that's fine. Did it prepare me for championship tournament? It's such a strange question to answer because honestly, the organizers for the world's championship were a lower standard, I guess, to that extent. They sent us an email 70 hours before worlds began, but we aren't allowed, like we weren't able to act upon anything in the email until 48 hours before the 50 odd hours before the tournament. And then that was when the patch hit on live servers. So we had to end up asking them, can we download Tournament Realm 2 and Tournament Realm 5? And what happened was he responds to us with, this might be like a little too much information for, I don't know. Anyways, what ended up happening was we get responded with, please refer to the rules for the download link to the Tournament Realms. later on. I'm clearly frustrated at this point because like I've already asked like 2 times, can we get the download links? KNP also speaks up. It's like, where in this document? And then I also screenshot apart. And it's like, is this where it's meant to be? And eventually we come to the conclusion they have a different document altogether with the actual links to the tournament realm. And
Holy shit!
now we've lost like
Right.
3 hours of practice on
Right.
like where I'm just like, I just want to sleep at like at least midnight.
Mm.
So I just like, I was like a little bit upset at them, but it's like, there's just a lot of miscommunication, right? Overall, the production was like seamless after that. Yeah. As long as we have like a week's prep for the tournament, for the logistics of the tournament, like the Discord that we're going to, because we didn't even get the Discord. Or it was like, it was so vague that we had to join a Discord that I joined like when it was 8 hours before the tournament. And yeah, that was just a bit of a rant more than I needed to get that off my chest. That pissed me
It's all
off.
good. All right. That's pretty
Four
good.
scrims with casters.
Mm.
Huh.
To tag on to that final bit of Tycoon's question, if you were to compete in the championship again, what would you do differently to prepare? Is there anything, or rather, like, would you do anything differently?
As a player,
Yeah.
there were a few lessons learned as far as like mental prep, and it's like if I want to like feel good, not good, like feel mentally relaxed before the tournament, just don't spend time with people that like make my blood boil. It's just, I don't know, like how long it's been since I've been that pissed off at uh, people, like certain people, but it's just a bad headspace to be in. You just end up like getting pissed off at them. They don't even realize it because they're just like doing their own thing. And it's just like believe in yourself, trust yourself, do what you've practiced. And if it doesn't work out, either they play better on the day, name a few. Oh, I don't think I ever named them to you, Murray, but um just do what you practiced, show up on the day, and if it doesn't work out, just remember you're playing TFT. Like you probably just low rolled. If like you really deserve to be in like that tournament, you probably just low rolled at that point. It's just TFT.
What's the live by? Question from Maxi Von Bloke. What was your favorite and least favorite part of Worlds, and what surprised you the most?
Oh shit, I already covered this. Least favorite part of Worlds. Yes. What surprised me the most? Well, I don't think it's really a surprise that like these are the hardest lobbies I've ever played in.
Mm.
But it's also surprising that the disparity of like the points sometimes on some of the days is just it's insane because like I believe it was day 2, one of the players that was rated fairly high from EU, Unneed, he did something that was just like this gameplay is not legal for like a player at Worlds, right? Now it's not like a full on bash on the player, but just think of the concept of you take Future Sight, you've made Frozen Heart Echo, and you put the Zephyr on your Echo. You all of a sudden a Zephyr given the option to Zephyr they carry or Frozen Heart they carry instead of both. And it's just like, did this guy just play like Wake Up on Tilt today or something? And he ended up exiting the tournament at let me just I need to have a look. Like he ended the tournament 16 out of 16th. I'm sure he plays good, but he did not wake up on the right side of the bed that day. Played very badly. Apologies if offended.
You're good. Don't worry.
Day 2 standings, Unneed 8666778. Like he did not wake up on the day. He
I
was
mean, that's probably what happened, right?
yeah, like
Yeah, not to shit on him too much, but or shit on him
yeah.
too much, but I mean, it be like that sometimes. I think
It's
sometimes,
it just shows that like no matter who you are, no matter what kind of player you are, no matter how like high rated you are in your region or globally, you can still show up on the day and be flustered and just
Mm.
fuck every single game up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's like probably the most important takeaway from that, right? Is that you could literally be anyone and you could still just like crash on the day, like. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. All right, cool. Question from Rival. This one might be like kind of vague, kind of hard to properly answer, I guess. But how would you describe the sort of feeling of having an entire community and region support you throughout the entire event? Worlds, that is.
Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't stream day 1. Honestly, like going into the tournament, like days before the tournament, every day I'd either wake up, be depressed as the word to describe it, depressed, just like unhappy,
Mm.
or just feeling like mentally in the dumps. And there'll be days I just feel like kinda normal, kinda good, which was like my regular. And I was like really worried going into the tournament for that, which is why I didn't stream. But let me just read the question. Describe feeling of having a whole community or region. Okay, so day 2, I opened up my stream. I just had like a 30, 40-minute chat with everyone in stream. And I was just getting relaxed and didn't really need to mental prepare at that point, because the most important thing for me was that wait time when I wake up until tournament starts. That sucks. So I was trying to sleep as late as possible. Um, having like seeing all the people that I have talked to like briefly in the past, or just seeing Twitch chat in other people's streams, just like popping up saying hi, good luck. It means a lot. Like our region is amongst the smallest, probably like a little bit, probably bigger than like Japan, but that's about it. And seeing all the support, granted, we had a good time slot, like everyone was awake.
Yep.
It just means a lot because like when your region is the loudest in chat and the smallest as well, it just like it's something that you can't really explain. It's overwhelming. And yeah, it made me feel bad that I had to exit day 3 like that, on a bitter note, where like I was pissed off at myself, I was pissed off at the game, and all I could really do was just put up a front and say congratulations Little, and raid the mainstream. Yeah, the aftermath for that was a very bad calm down. Yeah, thanks to like literally everyone. It's like just in chat, spamming random copy pastes and shit.
So that like I'm sure you've already heard this like 10 million times already, right? And I can only imagine how tough it was for you when that tournament ended, right? But like your day 1 performance was incredible, your day 2 performance was great. Like you really did the region, you did our region really, really proud. I don't think there's anyone honestly like out there in OCE that like isn't proud of like your run, isn't like isn't like sort of happy with the way you played or anything like that. So I'm sure you had plenty of people already say this to you, but I mean, for the sake, like I'll just say it again, right? But like yeah, you did really, really great.
Thanks.
Um
Yeah, that's.
and
Yeah.
I mean, I
yeah,
totally agree
sorry.
with you. So, I mean, one of the most enjoyable things about what we get to do here is that like we're building a little community within inside the OC community, and we had 10, 12, 15 people in a call all watching you, in games. You know, like when you weren't streaming on day one, we're jumping across to like the Spanish broadcast just so we can find your games, just so we can see how you're going. We're jumping over to some random guy's stream, like one random like Chinese guy's stream on the Chinese stream app that's not available on Twitch, just to see if we can find your game. You know, we're watching DQA, you know, just to find you to watch how you're going. And that's really what this community is all about. You know, it's like supporting each other and doing everything we can to be a part of the journey. So yes, I mean, I echo everything that Sol said. We couldn't be any prouder.
Yeah, and I think to close out the Q&A, I got a bit of a for fun question. You know, fans of Ron out there will know that he has a ritual that he performs in between games. Maxi Von Floyd wants to know: do you pee in the same patch between every game, or do you spread the love?
Okay, this might be a little bit longer than like expected as an answer. Yes, I pissed on the same spot like every single day. Out the back we have like balcony kind of thing, but without like a fence, right? It's just like a 1 meter drop, but with like 2 staircases around it. Yeah, it's there's pretty much no light there because I just never bothered turning on the backlight. Just had the kitchen light on, walk outside, piss on the same patch of grass. That patch of grass is, I'm pretty sure, longer than everything else in the garden. And what I didn't mention was I think it was, which day was it? It would have been day 2. I believe after game it was though. I was like going out to do the usual. So like we have random pot plants, and I use them as quote unquote visual indicators for where the staircase was because there's no fencing, right?
Right.
And I used this pot plant as the guideline for where this staircase was, and apparently it was like about, I don't know, an arm's length off, and I just stepped off the balcony thinking I was about to step on a staircase. I just fell all the way down, and thank God, like the cement
shit,
block
yeah.
at the bottom of the staircase was like
Yeah.
not where I fell, so I just like kind
Holy
of grazed
shit,
my
yeah.
foot,
Thank
and
God.
I didn't land in the patch of piss, thankfully, as well. Anyways, I had to like end up
Right.
changing my shirt because it was just it's not piss, trust me. But the grass was all wet
Mm-hmm.
because of rain and dew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt my left or right. Pretty sure it was my right foot kind of hurting for like the rest of that day.
Well, I will say one thing. That's
Nice.
definitely the greatest answer we've ever got on this entire podcast.
Yeah,
incredible.
after I fell down, I had to I moved that
Incredible.
pot to line up with the staircase.
In 25 episodes, we've never got an answer to a question being, yes, obviously I piss in the same spot every time when I go outside.
That is so good. That is good.
Look,
All
guys,
right.
that's pretty much going to do it for the episode tonight. I want to first of all say a big thank you to Sol, my co-host, for being here. As always, 25 episodes, a really nice little milestone to get to.
Yeah, 25 eps, pretty crazy, pretty insane how far we come. But yeah, it's been really fun.
Guys, obviously the most important shout out here is to Ron, to TXE. Ron, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I want to give you this chance to, for anyone that hasn't heard of you or doesn't know where to find you, to let them know.
Oh, I'm not streaming though.
Or just in general, where to find you on Twitter or on Twitch.
Whatever you want to plug.
Whatever you want to plug. If you
don't
want
have to plug
plug
anything,
yourself.
you don't want to. I mean,
Well, I might stream Challenger Series or regionals. I might stream the start of the set. See, just plug your. Shut the fuck up, Shoxy.
Damn, 2 non-streamers asking
I guess
about
like
plugs.
I don't know who even is here that doesn't know about my channel at this point, but yeah, you can just follow me here. Yeah, you can find me at Slurpee's channel.
Yeah,
Honestly, I'm taking a 1 month break from TFT because, like, it's not about like whether I deserve it or not. It's just kind of want to just take a step back and think about things. TFT, like the month before, was just taking up a lot of time for me, and yeah, time mentally and time just like in general. I didn't play that much as well. That's the worst part. I didn't play much. I didn't even like progress much in uni. I can only focus one thing at a time. So probably be taking a step back on TFT, but see what the future has to offer.
Great.
About League. I haven't played a
That's
single
fine.
game since Worlds Shocks.
Definitely a much deserved break, either way.
Thank you.
Guys, well, that's
Alright.
going to do it for the episode. So, on behalf of myself and Sol, I'd like to say thank you all for listening. You guys can stick around for the post show where we introduce next week's guests. And for our audio listeners, if you didn't see it in our Twitch channel, you can find Ron at twitch.tv/txe_. So, for myself, for Sol, and for Ron, thank you so much for listening to the Roll Down podcast. And we will see you guys next